So for the last 2 to 3 weeks, this patch has been a real fixation of mine. At least a couple of times a day I think about the choices I've made in my playthrough, and I've spent hours looking at Jacksepticeye's videos, as well as Charlie's and Alana Pierce's live streams, judging their choices, as well as regretting some of mine. Whoa! Kiss her, let the moment... Bruh. I mean, we're drunk. What about... Sorry, did I fuck up? Oh, now it's awkward. And we cannot forget all the cast interviews that have come out these past few weeks, where the amazing cast of absolute legends all get to give their opinion on the game and talk about something they are clearly very passionate about. All this to say, this game is something special. And if you've played it for yourself, I think you can agree that there is something about this patch that we haven't seen done before, or at least not to this degree. In this video I will try to lay out how I think that Ad Hoc Studios has done something very special here and why we just can't get enough of it. This patch has repeatedly been referenced as an animated show instead of a video game, and for good reason. The main aspect of what can make or break a good TV or Netflix show is something in which Ad Hoc, being largely comprised of former Telltale Games members, naturally excels at. And that is, of course, the writing. This patch excels in this aspect by offering a fresh perspective on an extremely popular genre, namely the superhero epic. The game fundamentally says no thank you to the stereotypical Marvel movies and shows and instead forms it to an intimate workplace comedic drama. According to the developers, they took inspiration from ESPN's This Is SportsCenter commercials, which featured athletes working in an office setting. But instead of athletes, they throw in this amazing array of characters and explores the mundane aspects of superhero life, set in a grounded version of Los Angeles, essentially functioning as an office workplace comedy first, dressed in the superhero world. However, instead of featuring heroes with these immense powers and larger-than-life capabilities, they decided to focus more on the unseen heroes, and in this case, former villains with unique powers that we don't really see that often. Now, of course, we do have heroes like Phenomenon and Blonde Blazer, but depending on your choices, they needn't play that big of a role. But it also goes a step further in exploring the character's struggle with those powers from both sides. In episode 3, Robert gives the Z-Team a talking to, where he can mention the role of potential. Later on in that same episode, we can see one of the main characters, Invisigal, struggling with that message, which is just top tier.
You don't get it. Some people are born to be heroes. I'm not one of them. I tried, just wasn't meant to be.
Meant to be? What are you talking about?
Blazer, Phenomenon, they have hero powers. Strong out there for all to see.
Flying through the sky, nothing to hide.
What's your point?
I have fucking villain powers. I can turn invisible and skulk in the shadows. My powers let me steal shit and watch famous people fuck. Being a villain is my fate. It's in the fucking stars. In the same way that Blonde Blazer was always meant to be a hero.
And in episode 4, we see Phenomenon and Blonde Blazer also struggle with their powers and responsibilities, all in their own way.
I'm sorry.
You're disappointed.
Are you kidding? I can't tell if... Are you joking or am I joking?
It's a big difference.
You're what? What, 2 inches shorter?
And a brunette, come on, it's... Okay, maybe if I wasn't called Blonde Blazer, I wouldn't be so self-conscious about it. People have expectations, and they never meet me first. It's always the superhero. It's hard to live up to.
The narrative also doubles down on this and decides to explore the idea that nothing is so broken that it can't be redeemed, combining it with elements of hope and perseverance. You can sense during playing that this game has a message it wants to convey and get across to you, which in my eyes is infinitely more valuable than whatever this is. This batch is telling an honest story about normal people struggling like normal human beings.
It's in the fucking stars. In the same way that Blonde Blazer was always meant to be a hero.
There's no such thing as fate. It's bullshit. It's just something we cling to because we think we're the main character of life. We're not.
We're a bunch of flesh blobs with depression on a floating rock.
Is that supposed to be comforting?
Yeah, because no one's paying attention if you want to switch things up.
You've already been a hero, okay? You have no idea what I'm dealing with.
Oh, get out of here. At least you were born with powers. I don't have shit. So according to your dumbass theory, I should be an accountant.
You aren't far off.
Fate, destiny, not having powers, seasonal depression, none of these things got me
From being a hero before. And they won't keep me from being a hero again.
The dialogue itself is also written to be authentic and grounded, which allows for some amazing banter and conversational pacing, which I dare say can compete with most of the modern day shows, let alone today's games. I think the choice of having our protagonist essentially be working a desk job is extremely interesting. Instead of standard superhero action, we get engaging desk work, where all we have is human interaction and conversations, with occasionally some banger action sequences sprinkled in, as well as more intimate moments. I do have to say, as was always the case in these sort of games where we get a few dialogue options to choose from, sometimes I do find that the outcome of certain options was not what I expected from picking a particular option. But this happens rarely and is something that also might be a bit subjective. Nonetheless, all of this could only be achieved by having a team with a clear sense of direction and, most importantly, a clear and transparent passion for what they are working on, which you can just sense right from the first scene. Now, to have good writing is one thing, but to bring that writing to life, you need a stellar cast of unique individuals that can each bring their own unique personality into these characters. And let me tell you, rarely will you find a more stacked lineup of actors and professionals than in this game. I mean, for one, you have Critical Role, who decided to join the project, which means you have access to absolute behemoths of the industry. The two main cast members are of course the spectacular Laura Bailey, who plays Invisigal, and then you have her husband, the legendary Travis Willingham, who plays Phenomenon. The other Critical Role members have somewhat minor roles, but still knocked it out of the park too. In the first episode you had Marisha Ray, Ashley Johnson and Sam Riegel, who each played members of the Tutorial Hero game, and in other episodes you of course had Liam O'Brien, who played Lightning Struck, who mainly yelled and growled at Invisigal, but he did so expertly. In the credits we also see that the legend Matthew Mercer plays Shroud, but as of the writing of this video we haven't really seen him speak yet, but I'm guessing that will only be a matter of time. However, aside from the Critical Role peeps, I adore the fact that they decided to also include people who we haven't really seen in voice acting that much before, but boy do they knock it out of the park too. If you're somewhat familiar with these people beforehand, it makes it so fun to see them show a different side of themselves and experiment with their unique voices. Jacksepticeye does an awesome job as Punch-Up, and it's so fun to see his playthrough of it, where he shares some glimpses behind some of Punch-Up's iconic voice lines. Alana Pierce's character Malevola I find also really interesting, seeing as she's literally from another dimension, but seeing her put her exotic Australian accent to use here is awesome. And then of course we have Charlie, or Moist Critical, who portrays Sonar, who is just basically Charlie, but something about that unique voice with that body and artwork just works so well. Now, I am of course biased because I am a big fan of these people, but I think that people who aren't familiar with these actors can also agree that each one of them fits the character so well, and I am happy that they are so well received by everyone, which can also be seen by all the terrific fan art that appears online. Naturally, all the other actors do a great job as well. Thought Squad as Prism is a badass, Young Gravy as Golem still pulls off this lovable big boy. Lance Kanstopoulos as Flambe fits the character design so well. Mayana Baron as Coop puts all these cool nuances in her voice, which makes her extremely believable as an elite assassin. Joel Haver as Waterboy is such a lovable goof. Tanuai Reid as Royd is so unique with his Samoan accent. And then of course you have Jeffrey Wright and Aaron Yvette as Chase and Blonde Blazer, who are just absolutely perfect fits. But of course we can't leave this section of the video without mentioning our protagonist Robert Robertson, played by the stellar Aaron Paul. Being a protagonist voice is of course tricky. The player will be spending the most time with him, and more importantly, the player will need to relate to the character, especially in a game like this where you are the one controlling what he says. This patch, however, has absolutely no problem making me relate to Robert, and that's largely thanks to the amazing work of Aaron Paul, who, being an actor, can also really work off great with the rest of the cast. Aaron Paul was reportedly drawn to the really thoughtful story and already great detail of Robert Robertson, which again shows that the amazing writing makes it that much easier for the actors. I also think that Ad Hoc being such veterans in these types of choice-driven narrative games, they also know really well how to direct and maintain consistency in the voice work, so that the actor can also apply the appropriate nuance in their voice based on the choices we make. For example, in my playthrough I cut Coupe or Coop from the Z-Team, which Punch-Up wasn't that happy about. And later, during that shift, you can really sense that Punch-Up holds a grudge against Robert for cutting Coop, which is just absolutely superb in my opinion.
Really didn't think this one through, did you, Robert?
Level is right. If you hadn't cut Coop, this would be a breeze.
Can't believe I'm saying this, but Sonar has a point.
Noted. Can you just hang in there a little longer? I'll see what I can do.
And I'd be right quick about it if I was you.
Typical. Coop switching up on us. Shut your hole.
Everyone, just relax. I'm sure it's just a very unfortunate coincidence.
You're an unfortunate coincidence.
So, as a show, we can already conclude that this patch would work great. I can very much understand people who play with interactive elements turned off, because some of the action scenes do indeed benefit from the fluidity. But it's still a game, so discussing the gameplay seems only right. So first of all, with it being a choose-your-own-adventure game, the gameplay itself is of course somewhat limited, focusing instead more on the narrative, which isn't a bad thing whatsoever. The narrative is so complex with so many different directions you can take that the replay value is extremely high. I mean, I have already filled up all of my 4 save slots, so please, in a future update, Ad Hoc adds more save slots. Thank you. But I would say that there are 3 main gameplay loops present in the game, which all bring their own fun mechanics into the frame. First, we of course have the dialogue choices. The choice that I really like that they made is that the choices presented are not paused. The scene keeps going, which helps the player act more instinctually and beautifully maintains the flow of the scenes. With this being the main gameplay mechanic, it also removes things like the open world exploration, navigation or collection aspect in previous games, and instead purely focuses on the interactive cutscenes and core gameplay. This ensures consistent pacing and again makes it feel more like a show. Of course, we already know this from Telltale Games, but I feel that they've learned a lot from those past experiences and neatly picked out all the things that worked and all the things that, well, didn't. Second, we have the hacking minigame. This one is a bit odd in the sense that it plays a fairly large part in the dispatching section as well as in many of the cinematic sequences. I do think that in the cinematic sections it does sometimes break up the flow of the scene a tiny bit, but the music and voice acting of the characters does make up for that for the most part. In the dispatching portion, I have no problem with them, especially because most of the time we can choose to do the hacking or have our own team members solve the problem for us. However, I do quite enjoy the mechanics of the minigame, so I do pick the hacking option most of the time. The last gameplay loop is of course the dispatching mechanic. As a fan of This Is the Police, I really like how they implemented that same gameplay loop into this game, and it also supports the narrative beautifully. I also like that they clearly distinguished themselves from Telltale games in the past by implementing a fun and interactive system next to the already great cinematics. The choices made in those cinematics also reflect back on the gameplay and vice versa, which again ensures that all of the choices are meaningful across all the different aspects of the game. The upgrading and personalizing of your team adds a whole other layer to the gameplay loop, which ensures that every playthrough is at least somewhat different. Having all the members also possess different power-ups makes it so that you actually have to think about who to send and who to send that someone with. I mean, this is just a prime example of how the gameplay supports the writing and the narrative of the whole game. Now, many people also have a problem with the fact that all the episodes aren't immediately available, instead opting for an episodic release strategy where they drop 2 episodes per week for 4 weeks. This is designed to keep the game relevant and in conversation. It also allows people like me plenty of time to look at other playthroughs and experiment with different choices on other save files in the meantime. This also fosters community discussion, much like a TV season would, or more recently, episodes of Critical Role's new D&D campaign. In my opinion, this is no problem at all. I'm a big proponent of savoring something for as long as possible, and this allows for just that. I get that people find it annoying, but those people could also just wait 2 more weeks for the game to be out completely. A bit of patience goes a long way, trying your best to avoid spoilers along that way. It goes without saying that the artwork of this game is superb. I have bought the deluxe edition of the game, and let me tell you, seeing the process of these characters and the environment coming to life is so cool. The developers also mentioned in an interview that they focused on an art style that would age well, so they focused on basic art principles that have stood the test of time, which ensures a slick, consistent and accessible look that really resembles some of the top tier animes of our time. This also makes sure that the video gamey barrier is removed so that people can experience the story more easily. I mean, my girlfriend even likes playing the game, which honestly says a lot. Okay, we're almost there, but lastly, I want to mention the thing that you've been hearing in the background of this video. Music can do so much to bring any scene to a higher level, and the soundtrack of Dispatch, composed by Andrew Arcadi and Skylar Bartow, is no exception. It captures that futuristic feel perfectly, whilst also allowing for a kind of nostalgic tone in some scenes where it really benefits from it. I especially like the theme in episode 1 where we fly with Blonde Blazer through Los Angeles. But next to that, you also have some great pieces of music during the dispatching portion that doesn't get boring after a while and really evokes that feeling of, well, doing a desk job but with a fun twist to it. In contrast to this, you have the tracks that play during the hacking portion, which, let me tell you, really get my heart rate going. The music is just the perfect mixing agent that excellently ties together all the other aspects that make this game so amazing. Okay, now I know that this video was a lot of glazing, but really I struggle to find anything that is flawed or wrong about this game. At the end of the day, games are subjective. Some of them work better for others. I guess this video is just my personal view on it, and it might very well completely misalign with yours. And in that case, the comment section is all yours, dude. Just try to be somewhat respectful. Dispatch for me released at a perfect time. I just started at university, which is fairly daunting, but coming home and finding meaningful stories and connection in characters that also tell human stories is just what games should be about, man. The love and passion that this game radiates is honestly contagious, which is also a big reason why I started uploading again after a hiatus of 3 years. It feels like a breath of fresh air and inspiration in the gaming scene today, and I do hope that this isn't the last we'll see from this franchise. Now, I could talk endless hours on this game, but I'll leave that for a future video or live stream, I don't know. As of now, 4 more episodes are next, and I can't wait to see where this story goes. But I have absolutely zero doubt that Ad Hoc will nail the rest of the game, and that all our poor gamer hearts will be broken by the end. And I am all here for it. Okay. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you're interested in checking out my reaction to the game, may I humbly recommend checking out my playthrough on it on this channel. Or, you know, just play the game yourself, because believe me, you won't be disappointed.